Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Eric from Justice for Youth, and you're almost done with your mentor training. We, again, are just very thankful for your commitment, and you're about to start getting next to our young people. But one of the last things we wanted to share with all of our mentors are two different policies that are very important in our work. The first policy is definitely going to be our safe drop-off policy. As a mentor, you make a commitment to often building these really close relationships with these students, and you're going to be making visits, sometimes on your own schedule and on your own time, but also during the space that we create on Thursday nights. Mentors are often picking up their mentees, bringing them to our events, and then they're often taking them home. And just because we want to make sure that we, as an organization, do a good job in preparing you guys, we put together some simple policies that we want to share with you guys now. And I don't want you to get freaked out or scared when you hear some of these things. The things we will share are definitely going to be with the minority of the students. It's not going to be with the majority of students. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a little bit of screen sharing, and all of you are going to be able to see a picture of our safe drop-off policy here. So when dropping off your mentee, please make sure to do the following things. Number one, you got to know your mentee. By this time, you should be asking 21 questions, right? I mean, 20 questions, as many as you can. And hopefully by now you're getting a feel for, are these students gang affiliated? Do they live in high-risk neighborhoods? Are there kind of risky things that are happening around their homes or their apartment complexes or whatever they may be, their trailer parks, right? If so, if they are gang affiliated, one of the follow-up questions is, what gang are they affiliated with? You want to get to know their families. We want to know, hey, is this brother involved? Is this brother involved? So that when you're dropping off, you don't get caught talking to somebody for too long. You're standing outside the house and you're being identified as associated with these family members and or your mentee. So you definitely want to get to know your mentee. That's the first step in our policy. And don't feel obligated to do this pickup and drop off if you don't feel safe. Myself, Eric, the director, or some of our other lead staff will be more than happy to do it if you don't feel comfortable yet. Okay. But number two would be know your surroundings. When you're pulling up on a house to make a drop off, make sure you scan the location. If anything looks suspicious in the area, do a double take. Maybe pass the house and come back around one more time and continue to do that until things look safe. If anything looks suspicious, do not stop. Continue going. Don't put yourself in jeopardy if there's an argument going on in front of the house that you're going to be dropping off your student at. It's probably not the greatest time to drop off, or maybe you pass the house and find a safer location to drop off, and that mentee would be walking home, right? And maybe you say something like, hey, when you get in the house, please text me, let me know that you're in safely. Okay. So know your mentee, know the family, ask important questions. Number two, know your surroundings, scan the drop-off location. If anything looks suspicious, do not stop. And the last one here is call ahead of time. This is one of the best practices, right? So if you, like for me, I mentor a lot of gang affiliated youth. I mentor a lot of kids who are living in high risk neighborhoods, and there's a lot of risky behaviors going on around them, right? So for me, I'll call the mentee's family ahead of time and I'll tell them, hey, do me a favor, step outside, take a look at anything that's going on. Is it cool to drop them off? They give me the thumbs up. I know it's time to go. Sometimes as I'm coming in, there may be opportunities or moments where things are very suspicious and you may have to contact local PD. And we would just do our due diligence in that process. And the last thing is, when you are dropping this student off eventually, you want to make sure that at the end of the night, especially if they're one of the mentees who have been identified as one of these students who live in these places and or who are affiliated with these gangs, then you want to make sure you text me to notify me that you have safely dropped off your student. Okay. So this is something that I can send to you if you'd like, but it's a very simple 3-step process, and we want everybody to stay committed to that and make sure that we're practicing those things. Okay. The second thing I want to mention in this video is very important, And again, dealing with the more high risk youth, this is the minority, not the majority, but we do want to cover these topics. A lot of our students do use drugs, so we want to talk about our drug policy. One of the things that we encourage our mentees or our mentors to do with our mentees is have open and honest conversations. Hey man, do you like to use drugs? Do you enjoy smoking? If so, why? You'll find out some of our students use it as a coping mechanism. Maybe some of the times they're drinking, and they're drinking heavily because there's just so many things going on in their home. They just trying to drown it out, right? But have those conversations, identify, hopefully there's no secrets, right? And then what we want to do, if there's ever a case where we run into a situation where a student, either while he's with you or she's with you or at one of our events, you're made aware that they actually are holding or carrying some type of a drug and or alcohol, you want to confiscate it. And we build the kinds of relationships where I'll typically say things like, come on, dude, don't ruin it for everybody. Just pass it over, and I'm not going to make a big deal out of it, right? Hey, man, you already know what we're about here at Justice for Youth. I tell them, this isn't the place for that. And, if you can't respect that, then I might have to ask you to take a step out, or you might have to bounce and not be here for the night, right? So there might be a time where you are confiscating those things. In confiscating those things, you want to make sure you notify another mentor that you are getting a hold of those things. And then eventually, whether you are getting rid of those things, like throwing them in the toilet, stomping out some dirt weed or something like that, right? You want to make sure you're doing it in the presence of another mentor and the lead staff or director, myself, just to have that extra accountability. Another thing I put here is, we want to really be sensitive to the size and amount of these drugs. So, we might get a student with a little vodka bottle. And trust me, I'm not saying that that's okay for them, right? But this might be a norm for that student. And confiscating that vodka bottle, it's going to be very easy to do away with, right? Or pass over to myself. But if we're getting a large vodka bottle or multiple vodka bottles, then we have a problem. If a student comes and he's got a little nug of weed, wrapped up in a little baggie, those are things that we can get rid of. And we don't have to involve local authorities. And or sometimes the reality is we may want to contact a parent and notify them, but the parent isn't even reachable. And or, sad to say, sometimes they may not even care, right? So those things can be dealt within our relationships here. And we're always notifying directors and lead staff about anything that goes down like that. But there are those times where students may be bringing large amounts of things, drugs and or alcohol. And in those cases, they're more serious cases. We will definitely then at some point have to contact local PD. I'm not going to be flushing bricks of weed, down the toilet or trying to stomp those out. I'm going to get in touch with some of my buddies that work for our local law enforcement, and we're going to involve them, but in a restorative way. So we don't want to see our kids, have open juvenile cases for possession. Some of them already do have open cases. We don't want them to have a double up, and something added onto that stuff. And our relationships with local PD are so good that we'll be able to work things out and potentially not have to have these kids catch a case, but rather we'd be able to use those opportunities as teachable moments for them and relational moments for us, where we can really speak into their life and impact their character in those moments, and possibly even have some real conversations that just talk about the unhealthiness of some of these choices. So I really hope that you guys are feeling empowered as mentors. I really hope that you're getting excited about supporting these amazing youth. They are all so unique and so intelligent and so special, and they're in such dire need of healthy relationships. So I'm excited to see you guys start building with these students and impacting their lives in real ways. And I look forward to seeing you soon, okay? Talk to you guys later.